We've got here 6 coaches, and you can see it's pulling those really quite well. We've got the London and South Western Railway B4 in the actual London and South Western Railway pea green going round here now. I've given a little bit of a drop of oil on the connecting rods just because I always do that. I think it's prudent to preemptively oil some of these extraneous fittings. The mechanism itself doesn't seem to need any oiling, and that's really what you'd expect out of the box. What you can see here is that we're running really quite nice and slow. It is very low geared. I'm going to stop it there, and you can see on here, if I turn that up, we start to get movement at around 30 to 35, and you can see there it crawls along quite slowly. It's just coming to let's see now, that is an Insull Frog Point. Unfortunately it's stalled there. I do get a lot of problems with short wheelbase locos on some of my track. It's not the most sympathetically laid. Yeah, it keeps stopping there. Might just need to be running a bit more. This is pretty much out of the box, so it's a bit unfair. I'm running it at quite a low setting there, so I'm going to, where's the little dot there, move it up to about 40% power, which on a low geared locomotive like this is actually still running very slow. And one of the things that I really want to talk about is the Firebox Glow. You can see it in there, and it's actually flickering. This is on DC, and I believe that on DCC you can set it to sort of stay on flickering all the time, and it's kind of an interesting touch. I might actually try turn the lights off. It is night time now, but so you know, with all the lights off, let's see what we can do. There's the Firebox Glow flickering, and it's very dark in here actually. So before I end up wiping things out, let's turn the lights on. And it's quite a joy to watch actually. It's a very smooth mechanism as it trundles along. And they're very fine connecting rods. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this to run in. See if some of those little squeaks disappear with bedding in. It does recommend running it in just like any other locomotive, so we'll give it the benefit of the doubt. But so far, really quite pleased with this performing straight out of the box. Trying here a few other locomotives. That's the Hornby Packet. I'm running on the same line on DC at the same speed. The B4 runs quite well. And the Hatton's Barclay, as you can see, has just caught it up, which means it's going ever so slightly faster. But what I did find is that on a slower speed, the Barclay actually was much more prone to stalling out, whereas the B4 and the Packet just kept going. They had much better picking up power off the track abilities. So in terms of performance, I'd say it's certainly on a par with the Hornby Packet, which has been a great locomotive, certainly one of the best really small locomotives to be introduced from Hornby, from anybody actually. So I've been very pleased with that, and it's nice to see that the Dapol B4 is about evenly matched with power, and certainly with the ability to just keep on running. Checking as well against the Haulage Class 7, and the Haulage Class 7 for the same power on the same track is running just that little bit faster, but what I have found is it seems a little bit more prone to stalling on points. They're quite an apt comparison because of course the Class 7 replaced the USA tanks, which in turn replaced the B4s on Southampton docks. So we've got Generation 1 and Generation 3 of motive power from Southampton Docks running here. You can see the Class 7 is slowly pulling away. It's like the world's slowest race. The Hatton's Barclay is romping away at the front, and for the same power the Haulage 07 is a little bit further behind. I feel like I'm commentating on a Railway Grand National. Then we've got the B4 from Dapol, and that's actually fairly equally matched with the Hornby Packet. If you're wanting to double head for whatever reason these, I think the Hornby Packet is a very good match. It's also very good on the weight front and the performance. I really can't pull these two apart, as it were. They are pretty equally matched. Going further back along the track, the Hornby Sentinel is a little bit less sure-footed on some of the dead spots, things like Inselfrog points, but nonetheless it's still a sterling performer, not as good as the Packet and the B4 for running. And yeah, you can see really just how much faster the Hatton's Barclay shunter is. It's actually catching up the Hornby Sentinel. And over here actually we're closing down that gap, which means that the Hornby Packet is marginally faster for the same amount of power. They're just coupled up there. So if we leave these long enough, I think they're all going to end up coupled up with each other, but certainly when you think there's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 locomotives all running on DC on this track, they're all drawing a very low ampage to be able to do this on DC, and they are all superb runners. In terms of haulage, I've now got it connected up to, I've got 6 coaches here. I've tried it with an 8 and just got wheel spin. Some quite tight curves in here, so with 6 coaches it does get them moving, and there is some degree of wheel spin, but not actually too much. And 6 coaches is way more than these locomotives would have ever been required to pull in real life. So it's actually quite a respectable performance, and it does lug these round. Did try it with those 2 extra coaches down the back, and it just proved too heavy. It just ground to a halt with wheel spin. But 6 coaches, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 there. It handles those, and around some really quite tight curves and over point work. So that's more than respectable. Today's video has been brought to you in part thanks to the generous donation of my fans on Patreon. And a special huge thanks goes out to Anthony Kidson, Mark Anthony, Michael Churchwood, Mark McShane and Bob 310. If you'd like to help support the show, head on over to patreon.com/Jennifer Kirk. Thank you. Today's video has been brought to you by my books, Bringing Home the Stars, Twinkle Little Star, and also you can get the complete comic collections of All Over the House, Books 1, Books 2, and also the wacky zany Life of Knob T Mouse. Thanks, and catch you later.